You open the safe deposit box, pull out the trust binder, run your finger down the cover sheet, and feel that flicker of, okay, that's handled. I want to talk to you about that flicker, because if you signed a living trust years ago and have not touched it since, the truth I keep running into is this. You probably do not have what you think you have. There are 5 specific things that decide whether that binder protects your family or just sits there looking expensive, and most people are missing at least one of them. If you have a living trust, this is for you. I'm going to walk you through the 5-item check today, and by the end you will know exactly which ones to verify this week. No attorney required for most of it. So let me start with the trap, because if you do not see it, none of the rest matters. A revocable living trust is a legal arrangement you set up while you are alive. You put assets into it. You name yourself trustee while you are competent. You name a successor to take over when you die or cannot manage things. According to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, that is the basic structure, and the appeal is real. A properly funded trust skips probate. Your successor distributes what is in there directly to your beneficiaries, in private, without a judge. Probate, on the other hand, is a public court process. Trust and Will reports it costs 3 to 7% of the estate, and it can take months, sometimes more than a year if the estate is complicated. On a $300,000 estate, multiple probate cost guides put that at $9,000 to $24,000 in fees, and roughly a year of your family waiting on a court calendar to grieve in peace. The median cost to set up a revocable living trust, according to a recent study of 909 law firms, is $2,475. So you spent a few thousand to save your family tens of thousands. That is the deal you thought you bought. Here is the part that should sit on your chest. A revocable living trust does not reduce estate taxes. It avoids probate. The IRS treats it as if you still own everything inside it because you do. You can revoke it tomorrow. So when people tell me I have a trust, my family is fine, I want to ask one question first. Did you actually move anything into the trust? Because the trust is just the safe. The safe being unlocked and labeled does nothing if your valuables are still on the kitchen counter. That brings us to item 1, funding. This is the single most common reason a living trust does nothing for a family. Funding is the legal act of moving the title of your assets out of your name and into the name of the trust. Your house deed has to be re-recorded with the trust as the owner. Your bank accounts have to be retitled. Your brokerage accounts the same. According to estate planning guidance from Cunningham Legal and Rocket Mortgage, that is what funding actually requires. The trust becomes a legal entity the moment you sign it in front of a notary, but its practical power, the part that keeps your family out of court, depends entirely on whether you finish the second step. Picture this. Your dad has a stroke on a Saturday. Monday morning, your mom walks into the bank with the binder. She sets it on the desk. The banker pulls up the account. The account is in your dad's name only. Your mom asks the successor trustee, your brother, to step in. The banker says, very politely, the account is not titled in the trust's name. The trust does not own it, so the trust cannot reach it. The bills do not stop coming. The mortgage is due in 11 days. And as estate planning attorneys at the University of Delaware and Cannon Legal Firm have documented, when a trustee cannot step in because property is titled wrong, bills stack up, accounts get frozen, and assets sometimes go through a fire sale at a price the family did not choose. You might be wondering, what if I missed 1 or 2 assets? Am I sunk? This is where a pour-over will helps. A pour-over will catches anything you forgot and pours it into the trust. It is a backstop. It still has to go through probate to get there, so it does not save you the court, but it makes sure the trust ultimately receives the asset. So a pour-over will is not a substitute for funding. It is a net under it. Your action this week is straightforward. Pull the deed to your house. Look at the owner line. If it says your name, your trust does not own your house. Item 2 is the one I find sneakier, and it can override every careful word in your trust. Beneficiary designations. If you have a 401k, an IRA, a Roth IRA, a life insurance policy, a payable on death bank account, or a transfer on death brokerage account, those assets do not pass through your trust or your will. They pass by contract. Whoever is named on that form gets the money, period. The financial institution does not consult your trust. That is the law as documented by Free Will, Daly Perry, and consistent IRS treatment. Now sit with this for a second. According to estate planning guidance from HBKS Wealth and Maggle Law, those forms do not update themselves when your life changes. Get married? The form does not know. Get divorced? The form does not know. Have a child? The form does not know. A named beneficiary dies? The form does not know. That means an ex-spouse can legally inherit your retirement account if you never updated the form after the divorce. Not because the law is cruel, but because the form is older than the divorce decree. Your will is irrelevant to that account. Your trust is irrelevant to that account. The form wins. So here is the question worth asking yourself out loud. When was the last time you logged into every single financial account and looked at the beneficiary line? If your answer is a year ago, you are doing better than most people I talk to. If your answer is, I am not sure I ever have, that is the second thing to fix this week. You might be thinking, easy fix. I will just name my trust as the beneficiary on my retirement account, then it all flows through the trust. Hold on. Spencer Fain and Evergreen Gavakal have both written on this, and the picture is more complicated than it looks. Naming your trust as the beneficiary of your IRA can give you control and asset protection, but it can also slam doors. The trust language has to be precise. And the Secure Act changes I will get to in a minute mean older trusts that named retirement accounts as beneficiaries may now force accelerated payouts that nobody wanted. There is also a real cost to losing the spousal rollover. According to IRS rules, a surviving spouse named directly as the IRA beneficiary can roll the account into their own IRA and let it grow tax-deferred until age 73. If the trust is named instead, that rollover may not be available at all. Funded beneficiaries clean. Now the third thing, the trustee, because the right document with the wrong person at the wheel still fails. According to fiduciary guidance from Citizens Bank and trust attorneys at LLPH Legal, your successor trustee is the one who manages investments, handles taxes, distributes assets, and communicates with banks, attorneys, and your beneficiaries. They have a fiduciary duty to be loyal and prudent. That is a real job. As Cunningham Legal and Wealth Management have documented, an unsuitable trustee can cause asset mismanagement, missed deadlines, beneficiary conflicts, and lawsuits that drain the very assets the trust was supposed to protect. Imagine the scene. Your sister is named successor trustee because she is the oldest. She lives 3 states away, runs a small business, has 2 teenagers, and has never filed a fiduciary tax return in her life. The day comes, she inherits the role. The first quarterly estimate is due in 7 weeks. She does not know that. None of you do. Who should actually be trustee? Conventional wisdom says a family member. The case for it is real. Stimmel law and AWM law point out that family trustees know the family, can save administration fees, and bring continuity that a stranger cannot. The case against it is also real. Parman Law and Trident Trust have written about the other side. A professional trustee, like a bank trust department, brings specialized legal, financial, and tax expertise, plus impartiality when family dynamics get hard. Some folks worry that calling in a professional is cold or impersonal. I'd argue that depends on the family. A pension fund grade trustee is just a referee, and the right time to want a referee is when emotions are highest. Here's the option more people should know about. According to Khalsa Law and Plans That Work, you can name a family member as co-trustee with a professional. The family member brings the personal context. The professional brings the technical machinery. The two have to agree to act, which builds in accountability. For mid-sized estates where family conflict is even slightly possible, that pairing is often the most loving choice, even though it costs a little more in fees. The one warning I would give is this. A friend of mine pushed back when I made this point recently. He said professional fees can eat a small trust alive. He is right. Below a certain size, those fees are not justified, and a competent, organized family member is the better answer. There is no clean rule for certain size, but if your trust holds less than a few $100,000, do the math before defaulting to a corporate trustee. That gives us 3 items so far. Funded, beneficiaries current, trustee fit. The fourth one, almost no trust over 5 years old has handled correctly. Digital assets. According to the Uniform Law Commission and trust attorneys at BBA Law and Find Law, nearly every state has now adopted RUFADAA or a similar law, the Revised Uniform Fiduciary Access to Digital Assets Act. That law gives a framework, but here is the catch. The trust document itself must explicitly grant the trustee authority over digital assets. If the language is not in there, the law is a permission slip nobody filled out. Picture your trustee trying to settle your estate. Your photos are on iCloud. Your contacts are in Gmail. Your business invoices are in QuickBooks Online. Your password manager has the keys to 40 other accounts. As guidance from TLT and Willful confirms, Facebook and X, formerly Twitter, both prohibit account transfer by their terms of service. Facebook offers a legacy contact for memorialization. X allows authorized family members to deactivate. Neither hands over access. So if your trustee cannot legally act on digital assets, the photos, the email archives, the cloud documents, and parts of the business may simply be unreachable. There is also a privacy wrinkle worth knowing. According to California court guidance and trust attorneys at Laguna Legal Help, living trusts are generally private documents, but they can become part of the public record if contested in court or sometimes when they hold real estate. So you do not put your usernames and passwords inside the trust document itself. You keep a separate, secure list, and you make sure your designated fiduciary knows where to find it. The trust grants the authority. The list provides the access. 2 pieces, 1 chain. That is 4. Funded. Beneficiaries current, trustee fit, digital asset language present. The 5th item is the one that quietly ages most trusts out. Document recency. According to legal commentary from Gravis Law and Evergreen Gavical, the Secure Act in 2019 and Secure 2.0 in 2022 completely rewrote the rules for inherited retirement accounts. Trusts drafted before 2020 that named retirement accounts as beneficiaries and assumed lifetime stretch distributions for non-spouse heirs may now force the entire account out within 10 years, sometimes faster. Same trust language, different outcome, worse outcome. And nobody told the family because the law changed, not the trust. Here's the screwdriver. If your trust is 5 or more years old, call your estate planning attorney this week and ask 2 questions. Is my trust funded? Does it reflect current law, including the Secure Act changes? That single conversation is the single highest yield thing you can do for your family this calendar year. Now an edge case before I close, because it earned its place. State estate taxes. According to AARP's tracking, 12 states and the District of Columbia impose their own estate tax, and some thresholds are shockingly low. Massachusetts at $2 million, Oregon at $1 million. If you live in one of those states, even a modest middle-class estate, including a home and a retirement account, can be exposed. Federal exemption levels do not save you. State exemption levels can hit you. And one more sidebar that surprises people. The step-up in basis, the IRS rule, codified since 1921, according to Greenleaf Trust and the Peterson Foundation, says that when you die, the cost basis of your appreciated assets resets to fair market value. Imagine a stock you bought 30 years ago for $10,000, now worth $300,000. According to current Bankrate and Schwab guidance, long-term capital gains are taxed at 0, 15, or 20% depending on your income, with a 3.8% net investment tax on top for higher earners. If you sell that stock today, you owe tax on a $290,000 gain, somewhere between $43,500 and $58,000 at the 15 to 20% bracket. If you instead hold it until death and your heirs inherit it, the basis steps up to $300,000. They sell immediately. They owe 0. According to IRS publication 551, that is the rule. Here is the trap. If you gift that same appreciated stock to your kids while you are alive, they take your original $10,000 basis. The step-up vanishes. So in many cases, gift cash, hold the appreciated assets, and let the basis step-up do its work. There is one situation where this flips. If your estate is large enough to face state estate tax, gifting strategies can reduce that exposure even at the cost of the step-up. So this is not one rule for everyone. It is one rule for most people, and a different calculation for high-exposure estates. Run the numbers with someone who knows your situation. So back to the 5. Funded, beneficiaries current, trustee fit, digital asset authority, document recency. Those 5 items together decide whether the binder on your shelf actually keeps your family out of probate. If even one is off, the protection you paid for is partial at best, illusory at worst, and the fix for most of these does not require a lawyer. It requires you to look. This week, do one thing. Pull the deed to your house. Look at the owner line. That single check tells you whether you have a real trust or a very expensive piece of paper. Then log into one financial account and look at the beneficiary line. 2 minutes of work, maximum signal. This is general education, not personalized advice. Before you change anything, talk to an estate planning attorney and a CPA who know your full situation. They will catch the wrinkles a single video cannot. If this gave you something to act on, that little like button is how I know which videos to make next. And if you found this useful, the most loving thing you can do today is send it to the parent, sibling, or spouse who told you they have a trust and change the subject. The mistake we just walked through is not rare, it is the default. One more thing before you go. There is a clock most surviving spouses do not know about until it is already running. 9 months. The IRS starts it the day a spouse dies, and what you do or do not do inside that window can change what your family keeps by tens of thousands of dollars. The next video on your screen walks you through that exact window, what to do in week 1, what to file by month 9, and the moves most people miss because they are still grieving. I will see you there.